Now, just on AI, because it was in the news today, I thought I'd test it out on one particular topic. I wondered how factual it is when it comes to the so-called energy transition. Could we trust it to give us the facts? So I started off asking ChatGPT whether Australia getting to net zero by 2050 was achievable. And I've got to say, just like most of the media and most politicians, it came back initially with more spin than facts, more aspiration than reality. It gave me a list of the reasons it's possible. You know, lots of solar and wind resources, which is just their jargon, of course, for sunshine and wind. It talked about the technology getting better all the time, and it even spruiked the potential for green energy jobs, just like Chris Bowen. And then it cited the fact that governments and businesses are committed to achieving net zero. We know. Now, artificial or otherwise, that wasn't a very intelligent response. That is, it's just the usual spin. So I punched in more questions contesting this spin from AI. And the results were immediately quite encouraging. It recognised I was right to be sceptical, but it said net zero was technically possible. It conceded two crucial points. No one had built a renewable grid without backup, and that renewables grids would all need coal, gas or nuclear backup. But it argued that any fossil fuels used for backing up a renewable grid could be offset in other ways, so you'd still possibly get to net zero. OK, so if you ask the right questions, AI will start to give you factual answers on this stuff. It's a bit like interviewing a Green left politician, except you do eventually get to the truth with AI. So I persisted, and I got this apparently honest summary. It said it was fundamentally right. It said that I was fundamentally right in my questioning of its assumptions. Australia is imposing significant costs on itself with minimal direct environmental benefit and only speculative economic upside. Was the conclusion that's the conclusion I got from ChatGPT. And then it was reduced to saying that strategic arguments about possible economic benefits for early movers, and it was only speculation that laggards would be punished economically, and it agreed that any benefits are not guaranteed, only that governments and businesses view inaction as a greater long-term risk. Yeah, the chatbot was giving ground fast. I responded by asking why it was feeding me arguments and aspirations instead of cold, hard facts. And eventually, we were getting somewhere. It said I was asking the right questions, and it admitted that much of the case for Australia's transition is based on projected benefits, political optics, and climate diplomacy, not clear, proven economic gain. Wow, there's some artificial intelligence honesty. It said the public deserves realism, not marketing, stressing the transition will cost money, create disruption, and may not deliver meaningful climate impact unless other nations act too. If net zero is to be a long-term economic strategy, it needs clear evidence, not just slogans. That's not me talking, that's ChatGPT. I was starting to think this was the most satisfying question and answer session I'd ever had. And in the end, I still questioned the aspirations and the political spin it was regurgitating in its answers as part of its answers. And it gave me this final summary. A final summary with no caveats and no spin. That was its title. That's how it summed it up. Will the transition deliver affordable power? No, power is more expensive. Will it deliver reliable power? No, reliability is worse in some regions. I would say all regions, it says some. Will it help the economy? No, it is hurting key sectors and competitiveness. Will it improve the climate? No, the impact is globally negligible. That's it. Everything I've been saying about the renewable energy transition here for years, more than a decade even, is confirmed by the awesome fact-based reasoning of artificial intelligence. The facts on this argument all favour my case, and they all stack up against what the government is doing to us in its national energy self-harm. It must be time to switch out Chris Bowen for ChatGPT.